Somewhere out there beneath sun-scorched deserts, hidden and forgotten canyons, or buried under the bones of old ghost towns, there are secrets that were never meant to be found. Gold that vanished without a trace, and maps that don't lead anywhere until they do. Stories whispered around campfires, passed down just enough to survive, but never enough to solve. This is the Man Cave Archives, and I'm your host, Greg Reinhardt. And in this podcast, we dig into the legends that refuse to die. Lost treasures in the American Southwest. The kind of stories that blur the line between history and myth. Outlaws, miners, and explorers, and ordinary folks who stumble into something extraordinary and paid the price for it. Because sometimes the real mystery isn't where the treasure is, it's why it was hidden in the first place. So pour yourself a drink, dim the lights and settle in, because we're opening the vault. And once you step inside, you might not look at the desert the same way again. The Lost Gold of Ben Sublett. Out in the barren stretches of New Mexico, where the land turns sharp and unforgiving, there's a story about a man who just didn't find gold. He found something no one else could. His name was Ben Sublett, a quiet man by most accounts. Not the kind to boast, and definitely not the kind to spin stories, but every so often he'd ride into town with gold. Not just dust, not flakes, but high-grade ore. Rich enough to turn heads, and consistent enough to raise questions. People noticed, as they always do, because men get lucky once, maybe twice, but Sublett, he kept coming back with more. And he never said where it came from. That alone might have not made him a legend, but plenty of prospectors keep their claims a secret. But it wasn't just the gold, it was how he got it. Sublett would disappear for weeks at a time, ride out alone, no partners, no maps, no trails anyone could follow, and when he returned, he didn't look like a man who had been working a mine. He looked like a man who'd been somewhere else. Clean clothes, unworn boots, no signs of the kind of labor it takes to pull gold from the earth. And that's when the story started. Some said he had a hidden shaft deep in the mountains. Others believe he'd stumbled into an old Spanish cache, something left behind and forgotten. But a few had a different theory. They said that Sublett didn't find the gold, that they said it had been given to him. One story tells of a man who followed him once, kept his distance, tracked him for days through the rough country, and said Sublett never stopped. He never set up a camp, and he never looked back until he reached a place that shouldn't have been there, a canyon that didn't show up on any map. The man swore he saw it, an opening in the rock, not natural, not clean, too deliberate, and inside was darkness. Sublett went in without hesitation, like he had done it 100 times before. The man waited outside. Hours passed, then a full day, and then when Sublett came back out, he wasn't alone. The follower never got a clear look, said it was more like a shape than a man, something moving just behind the shadows, and that's when he turned around and walked away. Never followed him again. Now maybe that's part of just a story, and it probably grew over time or got twisted the way things always do. But here's what isn't up for debate. Sublett actually had gold, real gold, and he had a steady supply of it until one day he didn't. He stopped making trips, he had stopped bringing in the ore, and people asked and pressed him, trying to get answers, but Sublett had changed. He was quieter, more guarded, and when he finally spoke about it, he didn't give directions, he gave a warning. It ain't a place for anyone else, and it don't like being found. After that, he never went back, or at least he never brought gold back out again. Treasure hunters have spent decades trying to find that mine, searching canyons, following rumors, digging in places that matched the stories, but nothing. No shaft, no rich vein, no trace of the kind of ore Sublett carried. Just empty land and a story that doesn't quite add up. Because if it was a real mine, someone should have found it by now, and if it wasn't, then where did the gold come from? And more importantly, why did it stop? Out there in the wilds of New Mexico, some believe Ben Sublett took the secret with him. Others think the mine is still out there, hidden in plain sight, and a few believe it was never a mine at all. This is Man Cave Archives, and the past is never as far away as it seems, because out there the truth is still waiting, hidden, untouched, and out there in the dark, some secrets don't stay buried. They just wait for the next person to come looking.